How's it going, guys? Welcome to Audio Addiction. We have O Sleeper with us, and he can say his name and what he does.
Hey, it's Micah Kennard. I am the vocalist of O Sleeper.
Awesome. So, first question, Micah, gotta ask, how did you start out the band? How did you get your members? And obviously, you took a little break. We'll talk about that in a second. But how did the first beginnings of O Sleeper happen?
Yeah, it's a good story.
Okay.
Good question. So I was scouted out by Ryan Conley, the original drummer of O Sleeper.
Okay.
He and Lucas Starr, the original bassist of O Sleeper, they were both from a band called Terminal.
Nice.
And they wanted to start a heavy project. And they were best friends with Shane, who was in Between the Buried and Me at the time. And they're like, oh, well, we got to get Shane in.
Yeah.
And so they're talking to Shane, and they're looking for a vocalist. Or actually, they're looking for a second guitarist.
Oh, really? Okay.
And they found me on MySpace.
Oh,
This is
okay.
back
Wow,
then,
we're going back
right?
in time. Yeah.
Yep. I had a lot of friends
On
on MySpace.
There you go.
And like, when you could do your whole MySpace page with all this HTML stuff, man, I had it done up. It looked pretty
there you
pro.
go. Okay.
And
Top tier.
I was a bass player at the time in a pop band. And
We never expected that.
and I get a message from Ryan, and it was like, it was almost verbatim. Hey, dude, you look cool. Do you play guitar? And I was like, no, I play bass, but thanks. And I'm looking at him, and he's got this like really legit picture. It's obviously like a studio picture,
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, these guys are legit.
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
like big deal stuff.
It's like maybe I shouldn't pass up on it.
Yeah, all of his friends are like, they was like friends with Seosin. They were in like his top 8 and
that's
stuff.
cool.
And I was
Okay.
like, man, that's
Okay.
crazy. And he was like, okay, well, so what do you do in your band? I was like, I do bass and I do like backup screams. And he was like, oh, so you can scream? And I was like, yeah, but backup. And he was like, what else do you do? I was like, I'm in college for screenwriting. And he was like, oh, so you write? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like lyrics? And I was like, nah, not really. And he was like, okay, well, what kind of music do you like? And I was like, oh, I'm really into like Scarlet and Every Time I Die and Dillinger Escape Plan and Deftones and Meshuggah. And he was like, oh my God, dude, that's all my favorite stuff. And then he asked, he was like, well, if you were going to write for a band, what would you write about? And at that time, I really wanted to write. I had been writing lyrics for the band I was in,
Okay.
and they weren't using them. They said they were too dark, and they said no one wanted to
you're in
hear
a
that.
pop band,
No
so-
one wanted to hear that, and I was like, maybe someone wants to hear it. And I was like, man, I would write about just my relationship with God and the struggle with being human,
Yeah.
and like I would just want to be really real. And he was like, oh, that's incredible. Like, this just sounds like you're the perfect guy. So I'm like, no.
No,
And
yeah.
and he was like, okay, cool. So he invited me up. He's like, hey, we're meeting up at Whataburger an hour and a half away from me. And I was like, and he was like, you want to meet up? And it's like,
And you're
midnight.
like, oh boy. You're like,
It's midnight. I'm like, yeah.
You're like, oh
I'm
no,
living
this
with
can't
my
be
parents.
good. You're like,
I
this
work
can't be good.
Yeah, I'm living with my parents. I work at IHOP at the time.
Oh man.
And I have to work. I think I had the next day off actually, but so I tell my parents, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go meet up with some guys I met online at Whataburger.
They were probably real thrilled about that, right?
At Whataburger. I was like, they look really legit, and they all their friends are bands that are really big, and like I'm really excited. I'm gonna go, and they're like, okay. And so I went. We met up. We hit it off. Immediately, Shane and I started just vibing on Lord of the Rings,
There you go.
and it was near Christmas time, and I was like, they were like, you excited about Christmas? I was like, yeah, I bought custom longbows for all my friends to shoot archery, and we're gonna make this big archery course. This is when I was in college, and he was like, what? And he was like, my uncle makes bows, and I was like, what? And he's like, you want to shoot archery in the backyard? I'm like, yeah. So we all end up going to Shane's house.
That's crazy.
They're like, hey, you want to come over? We're going to go to his mom's house and get in the hot tub. And I was like, sure. So
You're
then
just like, this night
me
can't
and
get
these,
any crazier.
yeah, me and these total strangers.
Oh my God, this is awesome.
And this is before we drank or anything like that. So this
So
is
like-
just having a
sober.
good
This is having
time.
a good time, yeah.
Just high on cheeseburgers.
There you go.
And we went and got in the hot tub, hung out. I crashed over there that night, and then we woke up the next day and we wrote to Flagship.
That is so cool.
Was how it happened, and that was how we all got together, and then we started getting a lot of we posted to Flagship and Archers. We started getting a lot of feedback, signed our first deal, and just took off on tour, and that was pretty much that.
I think this one is the best story. If you can't, I don't know if you can. Anybody can top this, because this is the best thing I've heard, and I've been doing this for 3.5 years. Yeah. So I would care to find a band. Please, if you're in a band and you have a better story, you don't, but I'll still have you on.
Origin stories are so fun, man. That's a fun one.
I love that stuff because I'm just a massive nerd, and I love just the anthology of a band and how they become who they are and what they do now. So great story.
Thank you.
Hopefully people watch that just for this alone. But my next question, Mike, you guys do a lot of touring. You kind of took a break, and we were talking about it off camera. What made you want to come back? Because I feel like a lot of bands now, like Underoath is another band that kind of took a hiatus break, and they came back and did stuff. And, probably loads of other bands do this in their thing. But I feel like you guys, much along with Underoath, are a larger band. And, I felt like after Titan EP, which I loved as well, is just I thought oh, everything's going great. They're doing, the ball's moving and stuff like that. So, what made you want to come back and continue to do it? I mean, I feel like obviously fans are a given, but what made you want to bring the family back together, kind of a thing?
Well, around Warped Tour 2013, we were just at a bad place mentally, like all of us were. I think there was a good amount of depression going around with us. There was, I don't know, it was a dark place for us, and I personally just kind of wanted to get as far away from the scene as possible.
Wow, okay.
And I was pretty much just done with the whole race and everything like that, and told all the guys, was like, hey, I want to take time off. Yeah. We'll figure out the band whenever. Let's figure out what the next step in life is. What's going to put our kids through college one day.
Oh yeah.
And then we'll figure out how the band fits back in. In my mind, not really. I wasn't accepting that it was over. I wasn't even toying with that idea, but I also had no idea.
You just wanted some time
didn't
to
really
yourself.
Care how long it took.
Of course.
And at the time, also Shane was talking to the As I Lay Dying guys about starting Woven War, and that was a huge opportunity. So all of us supported him in doing that because he'd always had dreams of being a lead singer, and that was a massive opportunity. Yeah. And so really pushed him in that direction, and Zach moved to LA and started playing with some guys out there, and we just kind of ghosted. And that's what I said I wanted. And then about 1.5 years, 2 years started to pass, and I was just wanting it so bad again. I wanted to write, wanted to get back in, and I'm hitting up Shane, and he's like, I don't know if I have time to write. So we started, we actually talked to other people about coming in and writing with us and getting on with a different producer and stuff, and to make it happen. And then I remember we were about to book studio time, and I called Shane. I was like, hey, just want the green light. Everyone's down. Just want to make sure you're down and totally comfortable with this. And that's when he told me, he was like, dude, I'd just been going along with this, but I thought the band was over.
Oh, wow.
I thought this was, I didn't think we were getting back together. And he was like, and I don't want anybody else writing for, I don't want anybody else writing for O Sleeper. He's like, this is my baby,
Yeah,
and
of course.
Especially where we are now.
Yeah.
And so I remember that moment was the first time that I had to accept that
of course
the band was over.
That's terrible. I can't even imagine.
It was so much unfinished business, and so much it finally being away from it and wanting it and being so close to having it again, and then getting it ripped out
Yeah.
completely, I literally collapsed on the floor in my living room.
Oh, wow.
And just started bawling. And it was the first time I had to realize that my favorite part of life so far was over.
Gone.
It's
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
And I didn't appreciate it when I had it. I did, but not at the end.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And then my wife came home, found me on the floor just sobbing,
sobbing.
and
Oh,
she had to pick me up and
man.
everything. And then like another few years passed like that, and I just basically started begging Shane. I was like, dude,
Please.
this can't be over, you know. And Wolvermore slowed down. They did another album, did more touring, and then they started slowing down. And he was like, hey man, like, I wrote this cool riff.
Let's do it.
Maybe no, he just sent me a riff,
Oh,
and I was like,
okay. So he's
I was
like
like,
teasing you a little bit.
"Yo,
Yeah.
a riff." I was
He's like teasing you
yeah.
with like little things. He's like,
Yeah, and so I kind of like wrote some stuff and like
Oh,
sent it
man.
back, and he was like,
Oh.
"Yo, that's sick," and I was like, "Yeah, like, why don't you send me another riff?" And we started writing back and forth, and Zach started sending in a lot of material, a lot of like sick drum beats and everything to kind of get ideas
Yeah.
rolling as well, and the momentum just started picking up and
That's
picking
awesome.
up, and then and then long story short, we just kept that momentum going and finished out the record. Finally booked studio time,
There
went
you go.
and recorded it. We recorded the album a year and a half ago.
wow.
So we've had these
so
songs
you've just been sitting on it.
for a year and a
wow.
half. But that was a 6-year time
Yeah.
span
Oh,
that just
yeah.
explains. So
So such a long
yeah,
6 years.
Yeah, and it was so coming back with so much like we don't just want to be back playing music right now. We desperately need to be playing music.
Yeah,
and that's
I think I can see it. I don't want to cut you off, but I feel like I could see it, like watching you guys. We're doing this after the show, by the way. So, but
Yeah,
I feel like
that's why I'm soaking
that's
wet.
why. But I feel like I saw that, like the want, like I could feel the energy, and like I was telling you before, I had never seen you, but like it was almost as if this is like the 100th time I've seen you.
that's awesome.
And so for me, as somebody who goes to a lot of shows and see a lot of different bands, it's cool to see that devotion to it. And so, like, you know, I feel like with bands, I feel like a lot of people don't, especially fans in general, and I can say it for myself too, is like I feel like people don't respect that, like, you know, you're away from your wife, you're away from your
Yeah.
family, you know, you're spending life in a van, you know,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And I feel like, you know, as people who's, you know, obviously love and respect your music and like buy merch or like something like that, I feel like, you know, the personal connection is lost in terms of like you're somebody that makes music, like,
Right.
and you know, I don't think that people see the deeper meaning of, like, you know, what you were talking about, like depression and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And people don't really see it. They're just seeing you on stage, you know, just like screaming, yelling, having
Yeah.
a good time. And I think it's you know, a super important, you know, I appreciate you being so honest about it, is because, like, you know, I feel like it's something that isn't very, like, I wouldn't say appropriate, but just like, you know, out there for people
Yeah.
to be like, oh, that person.
Vulnerability
does
isn't a
his
very
thing.
popular
Of course,
thing
yeah, of course.
to you know, to carry around, but that's really, I mean, whenever we came back, like, we just decided we wanted to wear the whole story on our sleeve
Yeah.
and let everyone know, like, look, we weren't trying to like ghost anybody, we weren't trying to cheat anybody out by
Yeah, of
saying like,
course.
hey, if we raise some money to put this EP out, we'll do another album. It's like,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
wanted to, it just didn't happen, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and life happened. And
course.
now getting out and leaving for tour when you're 34 versus when you were 20,
Yeah, that's
you know,
different.
now
Oh,
you
yeah.
have like a house payment, you have a wife, you got kids, you've got all this stuff. And it's like, and this is indie metal we're talking
Yeah,
about. This
it
is
is.
not
Yeah,
like
this
this
isn't-
pot of
this
gold
is-
at the end of the rainbow. Like this is you do it for the love,
Of course.
and for the people.
Oh,
That's
trust
it.
me, I know.
And so getting out and leaving, it's like there's this huge feeling of purpose now.
Yeah, of course.
And when I look at everyone in the band, like we're smiling bigger than we
Yeah.
ever have at each other, because it's like, you're here for a purpose. You want to be here
Yeah.
to tell this story, to connect with these people, to to live out our passions when we can while the window's
absolutely.
open.
Yeah.
And it's just been an amazing experience, especially showing out like at Philly with the place packed, almost sold out tonight. And we've just been gone for years, and to show up and have this, it's just been incredible.
I think it's
really
the
cool.
approachability too, because again, we had met, and there's a funny story along with that maybe we'll save for another time. But the funny story about me calling you up, and I I have an assistant on my phone. If you have a Pixel, and so I thought I was getting a spam call from whoever, and so I put Micah on the spam call on accident. I felt terrible.
So I'm trying to call him to get him backstage to do the interview before I went out to the merch table and talked to people for about an hour or so. And he's just denying my calls, thinking that I'm a telemarketer.
But it's okay. It's obviously happening, and you're watching it. But like I said, it's the approachability, and again, I felt like we've been friends for a very long time, and we've never met ever.
Yeah.
So I think that shows, and I hope that people come out and really, truly, honestly see you guys, because I think that you guys felt like you didn't miss a beat. It was from the EP to now, it's almost as if that 6-year gap didn't exist.
That's
you
incredible.
were just out there. So
Thank
go
you.
check out Sleeper. But getting back into some of the more, tailoring the questions a little bit, you've been around the States many, many, many times. What are some favorite places you like to visit when you're on tour? And, what are some favorite venues you like to play?
Oh, man. It's crazy. Thinking about tour is it's like having this book that you've read that's this thing. Yeah. And you can't remember
you gotta go to
any of the chapters, but once you open it up, you read 2 sentences, and you're like, oh, yeah, that's when this happened. But off the top of my head, one of the first things that came to mind, now Philly has had a close spot. The guy who got up tonight.
Yes.
And
I got that, by the way.
Okay, you got that? Okay, cool. We just met some very dear people through the Indiegogo campaign in Philly, and they just ended up being kindred spirits to all of us, and we just all connected on every level. And then now they've basically become some of our best friends.
That's great.
And so whenever we come to Philly, we always look forward to staying with all them and just hanging out. And so Philly's definitely a special place. New Jersey actually has a place called the Fudge Shop.
Yes.
Are you familiar with the Fudge Shop?
I live in Jersey, so yes.
Okay,
yes.
So the Gilcrests who own the Fudge Shop.
Oh, cool.
Those people are Rich Gilchrist, the owner of it. He actually officiated my wedding.
Oh, that's sick.
He was one of my mentors for a while.
That's so cool.
And they're just amazing people, and so it's always cool to go there and just go get chocolates made for you and everything. It's so fun. But man, I mean, I think obviously Dallas is hometown. That's incredible. Love North Carolina. It's wild, man. I can pick out a place, something that I love about everywhere right now. Especially right now where I'm just very appreciative.
It's a weighted question,
and for me, I'm very emotional and appreciative right now that I'm just I love everything.
Yeah, all of it.
I'm just excited to be back.
But that's awesome. Best of luck obviously on the rest of the shows, but I feel like if Philly brought it tonight, I feel like the rest of the shows and the shows that preceded this were,
They've been great. They've actually just been getting better and better and better.
There you go. Well, hopefully
tomorrow's Brooklyn. We'll see how they show up.
I don't know. I mean, Philly and Brooklyn. That's a
I know.
tried and true battle.
We'll see.
I'm gonna make it. All right, Micah. We're getting into some of the meat of the questions. Obviously, you had some time off, so hopefully you went to some shows. But what was the last show that you attended that you didn't play? Obviously, it's been a while since you played. So
last show that I
attended
that I didn't play?
That you didn't play, yeah.
I know exactly who that was. It was Avett Brothers and Counting Crows.
Wow, okay.
And it was phenomenal.
Yeah, okay.
God, so Counting Crows was my absolute favorite band growing up.
That's awesome.
And big inspiration to me lyrically as well. He's just an incredible songwriter. But the last time I had seen them was with John Mayer before I knew who John Mayer was. I'm talking like I was 18 when I saw them,
so cool.
and he was just out there by himself, and I was like, because now I'm a huge John Mayer fan, love him to death.
Yeah.
This was like right when Body is a Wonderland came out, but I was such a big Counting Crows fan that he's on the stage,
kind of
and he's totally John Mayer. He's always had the same personality. So he's up on stage and he's like, "Hey, look, I'm Jimi Hendrix." I'm like, "Get this guy off! This is this guy in his no shirt and cargo shorts and like Crocs, like what's he doing up there?" And then like later on, became a huge John Mayer fan, and I remember that time, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
like, oh,
I think I went to the restroom or something while he was playing. I was like, "Screw this guy!"
No.
But no, then we saw. I did a for my senior talent show. I sang "Long December" by Counting Crows.
Nice. Okay.
And so that was awesome to see them live. Before that, the last show I went to as a fan, I actually we got to get pretty close with the Architects guys.
Nice. Yes.
And we did a tour that was Every Time I Die, Bring Me the Horizon, Architects, and us, and that was just super fun. And then we shared a stage on Warped Tour with them,
fantastic.
and we were always swapping. And so they came through, and I think that was the last like metal show I went to. Like,
that's awesome.
For friends, but also I'm just a straight up fan of their band now. And they were incredible. And that was also that was a couple years ago. That was when I was just like so desperate to get back into it.
So
and I got to see them kill it,
and you're just
and
like,
hanging out with them afterwards. And they were with In Flames, which was amazing.
Yeah.
And we were hanging out with both the bands afterwards. And I'm just sitting there like, I want to be in
needs to
this
happen.
life again. I need to be back. Let's get this record done.
Awesome. Well, Architects, if you somehow watch this, like, please, can you take them on tour again?
Oh yeah, Sam, take us out. Let's go, buddy.
Please, and please come on, Sam. That'd be.
Yeah, do an interview.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad I got the cosign from Micah. But speaking about big bands and just like influences, like who like kind of like influenced you to start music? Obviously, you said Counting Crows, but like who are some of the bands that kind of like molded you and shaped you into the artist you are now?
Man,
it's a long-winded question, I'm sure too.
That's a big question. I was late to the metal scene. And I was really into like the first shows that just blew my mind, that made me be like, man, music is just the coolest thing. Nothing is better than this. Was Incubus.
Oh, cool.
I was a huge Incubus fan, and like 311 and Rage Against the Machine, Deftones, and like those were like kind of my core. Blink-182 was big there. The Used, when they came out, I was super big into the Used. But I was a bass player for 8 years. And after that, I started, like, while I was a bass player, I started getting into heavier stuff. I found, like, Korn and Slipknot and Marilyn Manson. And I was like, whoa, this is sick. There's something dark and, like, crazy. I'm, like, a little scared listening to this,
but
you know.
Like, I'm going to listen more.
Yeah, and that got me into a rabbit hole that helped me find a ton of different bands. And eventually I got around to like Dillinger and Every Time I Die and Meshuggah and all of those bands. And I remember, so I was already in music, I was playing bass and stuff like that, but I remember I was at a Dillinger Escape Plan show for Miss Machine when it came out.
That's sick.
And it was at like a 700 cap venue. Place was sold out. It was balcony. Sure. People are like falling off the balcony and stuff like that. Yeah. And like I'm totally into moshing at this point, and so I'm like,
so you're just like in the pit,
front,
I'm
just like crammed in there. And I remember there's a big curtain, and right before they started like checking the kick, it was like dun dun dun, and like, everyone just started cramming in.
Yep. Oh, I know.
And it was so tight that like everyone was crammed in so close that my feet weren't touching the ground, and I was just
Oh,
kind
you're
of
just
swaying
floating.
with
Oh,
people. Yeah,
man.
and then I hear all
That's
these.
the best
I hear
part.
all these beer bottles break all around, and I'm like, okay, if I fall, I'm
You're
dead.
done. You're done.
I'm just
Yeah,
dead.
You're done. Yeah.
And I see someone like fall off the balcony. The curtains haven't even opened.
Yeah,
He's just
yeah,
checking
oh,
his
yeah,
kick.
yeah.
And I was like, what is about to happen?
It's nuts, yeah.
And then all the lights went out, curtains start to come out. It's just nothing but fog and strobe. And they just bust out.
breaks out.
Yeah. And it was one of the scariest, craziest things. I saw Greg was singing, and from that angle, I was like, this is the biggest, most jacked guy I've ever seen in my life. And people are crowd surfing by, and he's just grabbing people one-handed, pulling them up, and people are just like this. And
just screaming
he
in their
screams
face,
in their
yeah.
face, and then just throws them back. And I'm like this close, and I'm just like,
This is so cool.
and I remember that moment being like, that's what I want to do. I want to do that. I need to learn how to scream. And
Yeah.
so like all the way home, I was trying to
Oh, man,
scream,
that's
and
so cool.
and then I started trying to learn how to scream.
Actually
and,
scream.
Yeah. I started some projects where I was playing with some guys just to try to scream, and that was a big moment for me. So
That's cool. Yeah, I can imagine a similar moment. Local natives, August Burns Red. Every
Yeah.
time they play here, or not here specifically, but in Philly, I can remember many times where I've, especially before the channel, where I've literally just gotten picked up and
Oh,
just,
yeah.
like forced to the front.
Oh,
and
yeah.
just like moving around like if you're like just like a piece of plastic in the ocean.
yeah,
it's crazy.
Dude, ABR show out here is nuts.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, we played a couple with them out here, and it's just like, man, some good hometown love.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, Micah, we're gonna continue the train. You're on tour, as I've been mentioning it many times. Who have you been jamming? If you guys listen to stuff, podcasts, what have you guys been jamming in the van?
In the van, well, I have been on a jazz kick.
A jazz?
For the
Ooh,
past
okay,
couple of
okay.
years. That's kind of my routine. Is
Okay.
I listen to jazz in the mornings.
Interesting.
And now I've been listening to a lot of jazz on my drive shifts. And I recently found Haley Reinhardt,
Okay, sick.
and I found her through Jeff Goldblum's jazz band.
Jeff Goldblum has a jazz band?
He does.
Oh,
and it's
now I gotta check that
incredible.
out.
Yeah. And I was listening to some of the live stuff, and she came on and sang a song with him, and I was like, whoa, her voice is incredible. And so I dove into, I've been listening to her a lot, Michael Bublé, stuff like that, like all live stuff. And that's just been like, it's been enlightening. I've been really loving it.
I have a
But-
recommendation for you then.
Okay.
You probably may have already heard of them already. Snarky Puppy.
Snarky Puppy, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, they've been around for
Fantastic.
a while.
Yes, they're
Yeah.
awesome.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I haven't listened to them in a minute.
There you go.
I need to
now you're gonna
toss that on
cycle back.
rotation.
There
yeah.
you go. Awesome.
Yeah, but that's what I've been jamming a lot lately. Zach has been really into North Lane lately. He's been playing a lot
Yeah.
of that stuff.
Do record.
Shane is always playing. No, I'm With Her has been the band that he's been
nice.
listening to a
Okay,
lot lately.
cool, yeah.
He's been just trying to learn all of their incredible harmonies and stuff. And he's either listening to them or John Mayer or Brad Paisley, and that's
Interesting.
pretty much what goes on in our band.
I like it. It's a variety.
It is a variety.
variety.
And then the one thing we all come together on is Limp Bizkit. Like when it's time to party, we put that
put the
on,
Limp Bizkit
and
on.
everyone goes
Everyone
wild.
goes-
Yeah,
Well, it's good to know. Now we know what, Oh Sleeper is about the party jams from Limp Bizkit then.
yeah. That's what gets our blood going.
There we go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I don't know if you guys are ever going to do a cover song, but if you were to choose one, what would you guys maybe collectively agree on possibly?
I think the song we would have the most fun covering is a song we couldn't cover
Okay.
because like our fan base would just reject us. I feel like, but we've.
I mean, hey, listen.
We've already talked about it. There's two songs that have always been like, dude, let's just cover
Okay,
it.
okay,
And like,
okay,
let's just
okay.
see what happens.
Okay, yeah.
We especially couldn't
Throw
do
it
'cause
out.
we're-
I'll listen.
We're on Solid State now, but we definitely couldn't do it now. But Break Stuff is
Oh,
the one I would
nice.
love to cover.
Okay,
Break Stuff.
okay.
And then I'd also love to, like, ironically and not ironically, we also love Down with the Sickness. And we also
Oh,
love
my gosh.
pretty much anything Linkin Park would be
Oh, like,
amazing.
yeah.
So
A toss-up
any of
between
those
those
would,
three.
yeah, any of those would come in. But something that we've been thinking about lately, Zach brought it up, and I was like, yeah, it would be really sick. It would be Head Like a Hole. It would be fun. Like do like
Oh,
a Nine Inch Nails
yeah.
cover would be fun. But if you're gonna do a Nine Inch Nails cover, you got to do it so good.
Yeah.
Like you
You
can't
have to do it
You can't
like-
half-ass a
You gotta
Nine Inch
go.
Nails
Yeah,
cover.
you gotta go like
and-
all the way, or
and
know,
you gotta
don't do
you
it.
can't try to just to do it exactly like them either because they already did it perfect. So you have to come up with some weird spin that is not lame.
That is not them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's tough.
so I probably just won't do that.
That's okay.
I
But
play it safe.
if you do want to see Limp Bizkit or Disturbed, you should let them know in the comments, and I
Yeah.
don't know, maybe they'll do it.
Okay, so yeah, in the comments,
Okay.
let us know Limp Bizkit song, Disturbed song, or Linkin Park song to cover.
There you go. And then tweet at Micah.
Yeah, tweet it at me
Or whatever.
Insta it
Instagram
at me
it,
or
yeah.
social it
media.
to me. Yeah.
There you go. You got it. Anyway, gotta ask this one, Micah, as well. Favorite food to eat?
God, nachos is the first thing that just
Nachos?
it was like bam, nachos. But
That was a good first choice, though.
Yeah, it was
right
just
off
like,
the spitball and answer.
Yeah,
that was
that's
great.
it. I'm just gonna stick with that.
You're gonna stick
But
with
like
nachos.
some really good ones.
Okay,
You
so
know what
like,
I mean?
what would you put on it? You just wouldn't have just nachos.
I don't know, man. It depends on the mood. Sometimes
Okay.
I want a pile of nachos, and sometimes I want those nachos where they make each chip. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
where it's like this chip has the
All of it
cheese,
on
the
it.
beans, the this, and
Yeah.
they've got like 5 chips or something. Like
okay.
sometimes that's what I want.
Okay.
Sometimes I want a pile of shit.
Sometimes you just want
you
it
know
all,
that I
all
can
in
just
one
keep.
thing.
Yeah,
Just shoveling it in your mouth.
a margarita always has to
Okay,
go with it.
there you go,
And
there you
yeah, so that now I'm hungry. Thank
I'm
you.
sorry. Well, you had a cheesesteak earlier, so I mean, come on.
I did. I had a
you're a real
cheesesteak and a vanilla peanut butter milkshake
You're
from
killing me.
Joe's, and it
You're-
was
you're killing
and
me
some
right
Old
now.
Bay fries.
Oh, you're killing me right now.
Yeah,
I
that was
like
good.
ran here after work and I haven't eaten anything, so I'm dying right now. And I was like, when I got to this question, I was like, I know I'm gonna regret saying it, but you know, gotta do it for the fans.
Yeah, dude.
So, next question, Mike. Keeping back on the topic of music, if you could pick somebody to collaborate with, whether it be a guest vocalist on your next record or a producer you'd like to work with in the future, who would it be?
Man,
It's weighted. That's the loaded. That's the.
I tell you what, a guy that I really. Okay, I'm gonna do 3 answers.
okay.
Okay.
I'm down. Shoot.
Okay, so. Ooh, wait.
Oh, are we getting a new challenger?
I'm gonna tell one story, and I'm gonna give 3 answers for
Okay,
the vocalist.
okay,
Okay.
okay.
All right. A story. There was this band
Okay.
that when I think we were recording. I think it was Children of Fire.
Okay.
Maybe it was some in the morning. I can't remember. Either way, I found this band. My buddy Kyle showed me when I picked him up from the airport one day. And he was like, "You've got to check out this band."
Okay.
And he showed it to me, and I was like, "These guys are amazing." And they were like, kind of like Irish folky, just really cool.
Okay,
And
okay.
but they were like storytellers, and
Oh, that's cool.
They just had this
Yeah.
really cool vibe. And I like went home and got on MySpace. So that's how
At the
long
time.
ago it was, yeah. And to see how many plays they had, because that's how you.
That's
told
how you know. That's
that
how
was
it's popular.
The Spotify of today,
Oh.
where you're like, let's see how many listeners they have.
I feel
or how many
like
plays.
I feel like we've lost a little bit of the audience. You
I
know,
know.
like- but it's okay though, because I'm old.
So you
I
used
get
to
it.
go on to MySpace and you check out a band's profile, and however many plays it had showed you how big they were and how
Micah's
many
telling
friends
you.
they had. Yeah. So I went on, and this band had like 6,000 plays, and I was like, "Yo, we
Why-
could totally. We have like
Yeah, you could do
we,
that.
We got like 20 more plays than 20 times more plays than these guys do. Like we could totally snag these guys." And so I had our manager write their manager, and I was like, "I really want to. Hey, really love your stuff. Heard you're coming on your first U.S. tour. Would love to write a song,
yeah,
do
yeah,
a collab song with you. It'd be totally different. You know, we could make it heavy. We could do it like just
Folky,
acoustic singer
yeah.
songwriter." Manager gets back and says, "Thank you so much for this. Right now, things are going a little crazy. The band's kind of taking off, it seems. All the shows are sold out already. Let me talk to the band and let me see, because things are changing in our camp. We'll get back to you."
Yeah.
And so our manager sends me that email. I was like, "All right, that's pretty positive. That's
Yeah,
cool
yeah,
though."
yeah.
I check out for like 3 weeks, maybe a month. Come back to it. And I was like, "Hey, I write our manager, hey, did we ever hear back from Mumford and Sons?
Oh
And he
my
was
gosh.
like, dude, have you seen their MySpace lately? And I was like, I went to it and it was in the millions. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, they won't respond to anything now.
Wow,
And that was Mumford. So
struck
I
gold.
wanted,
Oh.
I feel like we were like 2 months behind
If you
being able to do a song with Mumford and
imagine
Sons.
if that happened. You
That
had a
would've been
Mumford and
insane.
Son O Sleeper
Yeah.
collaboration track before the whole collaboration thing.
Yeah, and their tour was playing shows like this. It was all
That's
it was all
crazy.
the side rooms of the big rooms
That's
and
nuts.
stuff. And that's why it sold out, and they started moving them up, and then they went like I don't know, Grammys and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But so that would be. I still think about that like. Man, so
But that's
close.
crazy though. That's like
get the
that's like a
response?
1 in a million.
Yeah.
Like never would that.
And think about how cool that would have been.
Oh,
like if we had done
I
like
would've
this
been- I would've been
epic
so
like
about
10-minute
it.
story or something.
Whew.
Now singers, I've always wanted to get Josh Goggin on a track, and
Oh.
he's a close friend
Please,
of mine, and
please.
I feel like he keeps just blowing me off on that.
Josh, please, for the love of God.
Sorry, I had to call you out there, Josh. I
Please.
love you so much, but
I love your band
still
too.
want to do a track
Let's do
with
an-
you.
Let's do an interview.
And then a guy that I've always wanted to be on a track, but would never ask. I asked once, and I'll never ask
I'll
again.
ask though. I don't have a
But
problem asking.
another dude who was just like an idol of mine, who became a friend now, who I love to death, is Keith Buckley, and
I
would
don't
love
know
to do
you.
a track with
Let's
him,
do
but
it.
he never does the guesties.
Oh, well, maybe he'll make an exception.
And then, so we met Let Live after doing a couple of tours,
I'm already on
and
board with
Jason
this.
and I connected really
I'm
good.
just on board with
and-
this already.
and we've just been like brothers to the core, and we send each other encouraging emails and texts and stuff like that all the time. And from the get-go, like first tour we did with Let Live, I was like, man, it'd be really fun to write a song with Jason. So
Please.
that would be
Please.
pretty cool too.
Please.
But he's pretty busy with the Fever stuff.
Yeah,
so.
I still please. That would be so cool. Because it's funny. I always mention this in another like question that I ask, but they are still one of my favorite bands that I've ever
Let
seen
Live?
live. Yeah.
Yeah.
They opened for before Under Oath disbanded their last like final tour. They opened for the show, and I think I've killed the dead horse on this story, but all I remember is this was before the channel. I remember them literally picking up the bass cab, throwing it out into the crowd, and then Jason's like, I'm going to count it in, and once it happens, I'm going to run off the stage, and then you're going to crowd surf me with the bass cab. And I was just like, in my mid-teens, and I'm just like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I've never seen them before, but I'm like, I love them now. And so I have that ingrained picture of Jason just like riding this bass cab out in the crowd. And still, bar none, I think they will be hard to beat for favorite band of all time.
They're incredible, and he's just straight passion with it.
Absolutely.
I got onto him once and when we were getting really close, and I was like, I just love this guy. And he just like reds out on stage and goes nuts. And one time they knocked down this light fixture, and like a light bulb came down, and he like took a bite out of it. And I was like pissed. And when he got back, luckily somehow it didn't like cut him or
kill
anything.
yeah.
But when he got back, I was like, bro, I want to talk to you. Don't do that. Don't ever, dude, you're gonna hurt yourself. Like, I care about you now.
Yeah.
Like, you don't do anything else. Don't eat light bulbs.
I
Like,
wouldn't eat a
come
light
on,
bulb.
man. Like, don't. He's like, dude, I'm sorry.
I didn't even know.
The next thing I knew, I was eating a light bulb. I don't even know how it got there. And I was like, well, you have people who care about you now, so don't do that. And he was like, I'm sorry, bro. We hugged it out and everything. And that was funny.
Oh my God. I'm going to make you play bass. You obviously scream, but there was another instrument you could add to your repertoire. What would it be?
Well, I was in college for I was getting a music minor.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
In piano performance.
So piano.
And I've always said that if I could matrix learn something, You know what I'm talking about.
Just like
anyone who saw
hyperexcited.
Matrix for the first time when it came out
You
knows
know.
that everyone had that conversation.
Oh,
All right, so
absolutely.
you can Matrix learn one thing. You know, what is it?
What is it?
And I was like concert pianist. Boom. Like if
Oh.
I could just be like, and then I could sit down and like play Chopin and stuff. Like
Oh, it'll be about it.
I mean, that would be the coolest thing because there's pianos everywhere. And you just sit down and jam.
There's literally pianos like outside, and you can just play a piano.
Yeah,
if you want
yeah.
to.
So that I was into Tony Hawk Pro Skater at the time. So I was like, being able to Matrix learn skateboarding would be really fun. Now, as an adult, there's a lot of other things I would Matrix learn, like stock management or something like that. But that was, that was, I guess piano would be sick. I'm currently trying to get better at guitar and stuff.
Nice.
Like, got picked up by the great folks at Ernie Ball, and I'm working on solo singer-songwriter stuff. So.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm gonna have to listen to that. Well, then you can just like Matrix learn the skateboarding and the piano, and you can do it at the same time, like riding down the street, like
Dude,
skateboarding, playing the
evidently, old Elon Musk is coming up with some Neuralink thing that connects
Hey.
your brain to a computer. So I think, who knows? I may download some apps,
piano. They're in the
and next thing you know, you're gonna see me like with
You're
a
gonna be up
with
on
a-
stage
with
with
a,
like
with a half pipe on stage, like
playing the piano and then still
Yeah,
screaming.
why
Wow,
not?
you would be the most incredible
dude,
band I've seen
go up,
live.
do a little stall with a piano up there,
Yeah.
and then go back down.
I
Come
would,
on,
I mean, you would win an award
with a
for best
computer
band of all
strapped to my
time.
back and like a big antenna in my head.
This-
I'll do it. I'll guinea pig it.
Okay, Micah's the first. Anyway, next question, Micah. I'm a massive nerd, so I love answering and asking this question.
Yes.
If you could be a video game character, who would you be?
God, that's a good question.
Oh, thank you.
Oh man.
I'm actually glad you like video games because sometimes I'll get this like they'll be like, "Oh, I don't play video games," and we have this awkward pause,
Dude.
of, like emotions, and then I'm like,
Can
oh.
we morph the question?
Okay.
Because that's a long rabbit hole.
Okay.
As I am a massive video game fan.
Oh man.
What if
Okay, what if? I'm hearing you out.
instead it was video game ability?
Okay. I like that. I might even add that into next
Okay.
set's questions.
So like classic video game
okay,
abilities.
okay. I hear you out. Okay.
And I got it.
Okay, tell me, what is it?
Double jump. Or
Oh, okay.
runner up
Okay.
is the dodge roll with invincibility frames. Because you can always dodge roll
right.
through stuff.
Oh yeah.
But double jump, I mean, you can just jump again.
I mean, just-
You could jump off a building and then just jump right before you land, and then
You'll never die.
you never die from jumping off things. And I would be jumping off everything.
Wow.
So that would be very tight.
I think my mind is blown now.
But dude, the dodge roll.
The dodge roll.
I mean, basically, a car could be coming at you, and if you
could just
dodge rolled
roll,
into
and
it,
then
you would
have-
just
and then
blink
you-
onto the other
yeah,
side.
And then you have
you're-
invincibility.
someone pulls a gun on you, dodge roll, out. So I don't
Wow.
know. Either one of those.
My mind is blown.
Right.
I think you might have my favorite answer.
Man,
Because you know why?
yes.
Because you flipped it, and then you made me just think like, wow, that's way. I was just like,
Yeah,
this was.
dude.
I was just trying to be like baseline nerd. But,
Yeah.
like, you went like just like
It's
level
something-
over 9,000 nerd.
It's something I've thought about a lot.
I can tell. I'm glad you listen. I'm glad you put a lot of thought into it. I'm glad that you had the answer for the question that I was asking. But next question, Mike. Obviously, speaking about more band stuff, if you could compile a dream tour, who'd be on the lineup?
A dream tour?
Yes.
Oh.
With your band on it. I mean, come on. Like we gotta put it out in
Okay.
the ether.
Okay, we would open
Okay.
because I would just want to get our set over with and watch these bands.
I like it. Okay.
It would be a very eclectic night.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Probably a lot of
Give it to me, Mike.
people coming in, people leaving, but
okay.
and not in this lineup.
Okay.
But I know Meshuggah would be on it.
All right.
And I know John Mayer would be on it.
All right.
And I think recently, like I said, I've been really digging Michael Bublé. And I think he would have a set too. And then it would just be so rad. I never got to see Rage Against the Machine live,
Yeah.
like in their prime.
Yeah, prime.
Probably them on there too. And then
This is really eclectic.
we'd bring back, man, I don't know. If I can just reach out there and
Just
put 'em
grab
together.
somebody,
How
yeah.
many am I at now? Like 5?
I feel like we're at 5, so we're at the O Sleeper Festival now.
It's the Sleeper Festival
okay.
that we just opened.
Yeah.
Man, and then maybe like a little like palate cleanse.
Okay. Okay.
I put Nickelback on it. For
Nickelback?
sure.
That's a
Yeah,
palate
dude.
cleanser? Oh,
not
wow.
the palate cleanser, but that's just like the
That's just the like.
There's a time in the night where
Okay.
every night where a Nickelback song just like hits and you're like,
Yeah.
all right, let's go.
That's interesting. I like it.
What is that? That's Michael Bublé. Where was that? Michael Bublé,
Meshuggah.
Meshuggah,
John Mayer.
Nickelback, and then I guess Limp Bizkit would also be awesome to be on there. But yeah, that'd be
crazy.
That would be the set.
I'm about it. Well, the last thing, because we're getting the signs for wrap up. Tell them about your band, Mike, where they can find you at, and obviously anything coming up in the next couple months, and the new record too, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. We just released Bloodied Unbowed, and it's available everywhere, anywhere you buy music, anywhere you stream music.
MySpace now.
I don't know if does MySpace have it. I haven't been on there forever. But honestly, like in today's day, album sales are way down because everyone streams. So just streaming the music, getting plays up there and everything really does help us. That's what promoters look at. If they see that you have a lot of monthly listeners, a lot of subscribers, a lot of streams in your plays, then they're like, oh, I want to bring these people to Philly.
Of course, yeah.
And that's how we get shows now. So if you just stream it a million times, follow us on Instagram. Everyone looks at that too, and Facebook, and just comment and like stuff, and just interact and come to shows.
Awesome.
That's what would be great.
Well, go check out O Sleeper again if you've been living under a rock and you didn't know that they're back. Please go check them out. Links are in the description. Seriously, their new record is insane, and a review is coming out very soon for that. And if you enjoyed this interview, share it, like it, subscribe, and let them know what song you feel like they should cover in the comments below. And thanks, of course, to Micah for coming on and chatting about everything.
Hell yeah. Thank you, man. Thanks for having me. Great to see you.
All right.
Peace.
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Of course, if you enjoy what we do, make sure to go check out the other series we do. We do album reviews, we do band interviews, and we do live videos, so definitely go check that out. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps out our channel, helps us grow. Make sure to hit that like button as well. Go follow us on social media. That's all down below. We try to keep that as updated as possible. We also made a new website where we'll be posting photos of upcoming concerts and stuff like that, which you can go check out at audioaddictionmedia.com and come get your fix with us, guys. Talk to you later. Deuces.